Ah, vintage memes. Welcome to What's Up Punk, where we take a look at the myriad of subgenres underneath the umbrella of punk. Today we'll be taking a look at Decopunk. Let those 20s roar, baby. What is Decopunk? I can't top what Ray Gunn Steampunk Fiction described it as in an interview. Link in the description. Decopunk is a drop-dead gorgeous lounge singer in a black velvet dress, clutching the microphone as she croons with an Art Deco chrome arm. Decopunk is a hard-boiled detective in a leather trench coat, cracking his knuckles as he prepares to confront his mark on top of a roof of a midnight monorail going uptown. Decopunk is smoking a revolver curling up the arm of a woman in a perfectly tailored three-piece suit over the body of a crime lord, her former lover. So, diesel punk, but shiny? Ugh.
The endless waltz of war, peace, and revolution continues.
Yep, Steampunk was too shiny, so we grunged it up to make Diesel Punk, and then we shined up Diesel a bit and got Decopunk. That, of course, is an oversimplification, so let's get down to the nitty and kinda gritty. Decopunk is centered around Art Deco and streamlined modern art styles. That was popular during the Roaring 20s and stayed in fashion until around the 50s. It's a sleeker and shinier aesthetic compared to Diesel Punk. Decopunk will use slightly more modern technology compared to the time it's supposed to be evoking, like VHS tapes. Or freaking robots. Oh boy, time to correct a wrong. So when we went over Diesel Punk, I was using quite the shitty mic. So not everyone heard me correctly. Seemed a bit worse when I was talking about two mainstays of the Diesel Punk community, Piecraft and Otson. As an offshoot of Diesel Punk, the boys have some thoughts on how Decopunk should be presented. Piecrafty and Decopunk tends to focus on the aesthetic popular during the World War I and World War II. And usually focuses on how human culture would evolve in the face of constant widespread warfare. Piecrafty and Decopunk is the bleed between Diesel Punk and Decopunk, since the focus is more on survival than aesthetic evolution. So, Killzone or Wolfenstein The New Order. Otzi and Decopunk is focused on the aesthetic of decadence of the Roaring 20s. This leads to speculation on how it would have evolved if it were completely interrupted by the 1920 Black Tuesday debacle. That led into the Great Depression or by either World War, and generally has more of a utopian vision of the future and is more of a version of retrofuturism. While Dieselpunk is more about freedom, war, exploration, and the advancement of technology, Decopunk is more about the aftermath. What we do with this new advanced technology, and of course, my favorite backdrop, the city. The place that will make you, often more break you, and everyone wants to be here and no one can get out. Oh yeah, spoiler warning, this is 100% my jam. This is gonna be fun. Technology.
I give you the Springfield Monorail!
Fun fact, I prefer light, sub, mono, and normal rails to all other forms of transpo. Decopunk is right there with me, usually showing off some gleaming mass transit. Easy to keep clean, I bet. No one sleeps or urinates on a train when some robot mook is going to kick you off it. Think the Smileys from Dr. Who, but with style. The tech in Decopunk is similar to what we see in Cyberpunk, with AI, sleek rides, and augmentations. But all more ornate than, say, Dieselpunk. They're built not just to be functional, but to look good. More of a status symbol than to actually do the work. This is also a comment on industry built to look good, but if it breaks, oh sweet, we get paid to patch it. A practice we here in the 2000s wouldn't know about at all. Aesthetic. Art Deco and streamlined modern. Art Deco is a 20th century aesthetic emerging from the World War I and flourished to the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Then petered out. Hard to do the bright futuristic shtick during a world being on fire. Art Deco influences permeated everything from architecture to jewelry. The style uses geometric forms, clean lines, and is often angular or streamlined. Colors are usually bold and chosen by contrast. Patterns are bold, symmetrical, and geometric. In New York, you can still see examples of Art Deco on buildings. Almost all the buildings and vehicles in Tim Burton's and Bruce Timm's Batman projects are examples of Art Deco. Streamlined modern. is an international style of Art Deco architecture and design that emerged in the 30s. It was inspired by aerodynamic design. Streamlined architecture emphasizes curved forms, long horizontal lines, and sometimes nautical elements. Streamlined modern appears most often in buildings related to transportation and movement such as bus and train stations, airport terminals, roadside cafes, and port buildings. As for fashion, that's about the same as we see in Dieselpunk, just more zoot suits. Flapper fashion and high-end gear. Gotta look good while you're pounding the pavement at little speakeasy. If you look like you're running with the Gatsby, well, you're in the ballpark. Okay, so this is going to be a little weird. Before we get into the thematics of Decopunk, we're going to go over what, at the time of making this video, isn't prevalent in Decopunk, but really should be. Coming from Isaac on the city source site, immigration, mass media versus traditional forms of communication should all honestly be a focal point in Decopunk. He's correct, because we're cribbing from the 20s and 50s. Immigration because, well,
They took our jobs!
some concepts stay eternal. Segue. Mass media versus traditional media. It's unbelievable to think of TV and radio as the new media and not the traditional media, but there you go. This is basically when media started popping up. The hard-nosed, just the facts man types. And the dissemination of information became faster, a topic relevant at any point post-Gutenberg. So what themes are prevalent in Decopunk? Megacities are prisons, and what is the totality of a man? Put it bluntly, this is when New York, Chicago, etc., became the city. Like, the basic understanding that this is the scene, the place to be, was developed during the time period this punk cribs from. Also, that it remorselessly eats up small town youngins trying to make it big. Some things never change. Decopunk takes that to the extreme. In Bioshock, the first half of the game is trying to escape Rapture after the city was the main character's salvation. But then you find out the inhabitants become addict-addicted freaks, psychopaths, or weapons of war that ended long ago. But all just keeps on going, and we gotta get gone. In Dark City, the titular city is an experiment overseen by aliens. The inhabitants have no idea their memories have been altered, so they have no idea there's nothing beyond the city. In Big O, outside Paradigm City, it's believed that there is nothing left of the world and no one ever leaves because of it. There are other places out there, they just so happen to be more or less screwed up as Paradigm. Totality of a man. A common question in punk genres is what is sentience and what makes a person a person. In Cyberpunk, it's if a person's neural framework memories can be digitized, is the resulting AI still a person? And is the reverse true? Can an AI created, or one that springs up from the digital see, a sentient being if it has all the traits of sentience? For Biopunk, it's if the meat is just canvas, if the meat is just clay, then at what point does altering it change the core you? And so on. Watch my other videos for more on that. In Decopunk, largely because the age this one cribs from, we were just starting to be able to record massive amounts of data. So this one is all about memory. Is sentience, soul, whatever you want to go with, the accumulation of memories, basically RU and LP, every instance of your life making grooves in the vinyl culminating in you, or is there a core you, the titular ghost in the shell, ghost in the meat in this case, and memories are just a flawed record of life? In Dark City, the strangers, okay, no one likes a marketing department, but there is a reason for them, don't really understand the soul, so they pulled a Vault-Tec, abducted a lot of people, and started playing musical chairs with the memories, in an effort to understand the soul.
Expect me to remember?
In Big O, 40 years before the events of the anime, something happened. It's implied it's a war of Megadeuces, the series version of giant mechs. However, it's never really answered. The result, everyone in the city lost their memories. Humans, of course, being industrious bastards, carved out a life despite the citywide amnesia. Government, military, megacorps, money, all the important stuff, keeps on trucking. However, without memories of your own, how sure are you that you're living your life or someone else's shadow play?
People are not ruled by their memories!
As for Bioshock, well, spoiler warning, skip this timestamp in 3, 2, 1.
You think you have memories. A farm, a family, an airplane. Was there really a family? Did that airplane crash? Or was it hijacked, forced down, Forced down by something less than a man, something bred to sleepwalk through life until they are activated by a simple phrase spoken by their kindly master.
Would you kindly? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly get this thing? Would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
That scene. God, that scene. Years of gaming before, years of gaming afterwards, and it still gives me chills. If I had to sum up Decopunk in one word, it's Bioshock. The theme of memory and totality of a person extends past the meatbags. While AIs have been created for various reasons, my favorite being, fuck it, why not? In Decopunk, the prevalent reason is to keep the memory of someone alive. Big O has two I'd like to call out. R. Dorothy Wainwright, and yes, you have to use her full name, was created with the appearance and memories of the original Dorothy Wainwright that passed in the incident. The second is Instro, created by Amadeus, a scientist that loved the piano. This one's a little less obvious. Amadeus did have a child at one point that's no longer around. It's possible it's the same situation as R. Dorothy Wainwright, just with Intro looking more Art Deco. If not, it still works, as Amadeus was able to share his passion with the surrogate son, in a way keeping the kid's memory alive. Of course, spend any time with R. Dorothy Wainwright, or try to pick her up.
Man, this chick is heavy.
You can tell it wasn't a one-to-one transfer of Dorothy Wainwright. Going back to the question, is Dorothy Wainwright's memories the core or just the dots of the mosaic that make up R. Dorothy Wainwright?
You're a louse, Roger Smith.
Not being a one-to-one transfer is very similar to the inspiration of hers. Segueing us to, where did Decopunk start? Metropolis. Lang or Paula cut doesn't matter. Silent, black and white, very German. Okay, so yeah, we got another interesting web here, as Metropolis was inspiration for robots in general. As when the movie originally came out, the word robot, taken from a Slavic word, robota, was about 7 years old. Like, the word only existed 7 years ago. The movie deals with a megacity, the titular Metropolis, and while it's never stated, I mean, look at this guy. One of the antagonists is clearly a corpo. Metropolis could very much be seen as a precursor to Cyberpunk. Which it is, but it's just the bones, not the meat that Cyberpunk would grow off those bones to slap metal on. It would not only inspire the big daddy of punk genres, but its own derivatives, after Art Deco was rediscovered to be baller as hell. God, we really got saddled with the time period with no style, didn't we? Anyway, Metropolis. In the future, corpos and their top employees reign over the megacity Metropolis, while underground-dwelling workers toil to operate a great machine that powers it. John Ferguson is the city's master. His son Freder idles away his time at sports or in the pleasure garden, but is interrupted by the arrival of a young woman named Maria, who has brought a group of workers' children to the gardens to witness how the richer brothers live. Maria and the children are tossed out, but Freder becomes fascinated by her and goes to the lower levels to find her. In the machine's bowels, he witnesses the explosion of a huge machine that kills and injures numerous workers. Ferguson, after hearing about this explosion, is warned about a workers' revolt. He visits a mad scientist called Rotwag, with an Art Deco crow and his own gynoid. After learning Maria is the ringleader of the revolt, he plans on using the gynoid to impersonate her and cause chaos, when in reality, Rotwag has programmed it to kill Metropolis, in revenge for Federson stealing Rotwag's love. Poor gynoid, 5 minutes in the movie and they Cyloned you. The rest is for those punks so inclined to watch and find out. To further separate Metropolis from Cyberpunk, and as a beginning point for Decopunk, the human element and the mechanical are not at odds, but intrinsically connected. One needs the other. The initial explosion that started this whole thing is because one man couldn't keep up with all the pressure. I mean literal pressure, and fell behind. However, the machine itself is uncaring to the men operating it. However, it will fall into disrepair if not for human maintenance. Also, the gynoid is not to replace the workers. Rotwag 100% built it for sex. Humans ain't complicated. Real life Decopunks. Okay, I acknowledge this one's a little bit on the thin side, but I'm working with what I got here. In the 2020s, would I like a Decopunk Kong full of detectives and streamlined modern chrome? Flappers spilling their martinis, a Jessica Rabbit with heavy automaton bodyguards keeping me at arm's length while I try to get her blower number? Surrounded by Gatsby wannabes, Nick Carraway actuals, and the rabble? Of course! But that's not the hand we were dealt. Maybe later, but in the meantime, an argument could be made that postmodern jukebox and the like giving modern songs the big band treatment could be considered Decopunk. A few personal favorites: Oops, I Did It Again by Haley Reinhardt, Bad Romance by Ana Savalas and Sarah Reich, Kara's Whisper by my girl, Robin Adele Anderson. What? Oh, you want clips? Hell no! It's a miracle C-Punk got posted. I'm crazy, not stupid. Recommendations. Dark City. The Matrix if it wasn't completely insufferable or made worse by sequels. No, seriously, this is one of those great cult films that just doesn't get enough press. Possible future series notwithstanding. This really feels like a neo-noir book come to life, aided by how dark this city is. Morning never comes to vanquish the harsh night. It follows our protag, John Murdoch, an amnesiac that broke free from Stranger's experiment. Something that does happen, but rarely and usually drives the subject insane. They tend to go full Junji Ito with Spiralmania.
Oh, Spiralmania is running wild!
John, however, may be what the strangers are searching for. Will it be the unwilling instrument of their salvation, or their destruction? Walk the streets of this dark city and find out. Now, it also has the talented William Hurt as Detective Hunting John, and the always shagadelic Jennifer Connelly as John's wife. BioShock. Play this game. I know I've given away the major plot point, but still, oh my god, play this game. I hope BioShock is taught in game development classes because it is perfect. It's atmospheric, the combat system is well balanced and offers so much freedom. It's a shooter RPG that's actually an RPG. The big daddies are nothing short of iconic, and it's so well written. From the main plot to the audio logs. Also this trailer, just a freaking trailer. Prey 2017. Again, play this game. If you haven't played, please play this game. This one's a bit iffier on the side of Decopunk. Talos definitely has Art Deco inspirations and memory as a plot point, but it draws a lot from the US space race with Russia, which is outside Decopunk's time frame it's cribbing from. However, we do have AIs, and they have a Decopunk style, just not humanoid. On the gameplay side, I feel it's a little less polished than BioShock, but that might just be a needed sacrifice for resource management. In Prey 2017, Morgan, a scientist, studies hazardous alien species known as the Typhon on a space station called Talos 1, only for the Typhon to breach containment, killing almost everyone on the station in its own twist on a resonance cascade. Morgan has to find a way to stop the Typhon from reaching Earth and escape Talos 1. So Half-Life, but in space! Oh wait, no, your first weapon's a wrench. We take that again. I got this. So opposing force, but in space. Big O Season 1 and 2 are amazing. The haters can walk. Yeah, Season 2 art style is radically different and the old stuff looks better. It was made by Sunrise in its prime. God couldn't do better. Count your blessings, we got Season 2. Anyway, with that out of the way, this is another one of my favorite animes of all time, following the dealings of Roger Smith, Paradigm City's top negotiator. While his job is mostly being an intermediary between two parties, sometimes it takes more to come to terms. That's when he breaks out the Mega Deuce, Big O. So in brass tacks, he's Batman with a giant robot. That isn't also half Superman. The Cape and crowd are weird kids. I'm not even really joking all that much.
Master Roger, welcome home.
Norman, if you stay here, then you wear black.
Oh, it gets better. Animators that worked on this would later work on Bruce Timm's classic Batman the Animated Series. World's funny. This show cemented my love of jazz, noir stories. God, that music. Every track in Big O is a classic and instantly gets me going when I hear it. Also, Big O and Big Fow are just head to toe Art Deco aesthetic. I'd kill to have any of the bigs on my desk.
Big O, and action!
How do I feel about Decopunk? Oh, spoiled that in the beginning of this. This is my jam. two-fisted trenchcoat Solo trudging down rain-slick streets of the city. The machinery of the city trying to grind him down to so much pulp. Everyone thinking they're the wise guy, and some of them might be, or their memories just tell them they are. The city looms overall beautiful and gleaming, tossing shadows that can swallow you whole. Sound question. Is Decopunk Pycraftian or Otzian? Both, kind of. Okay, so visually it's all Otzian. It's what we tend to stick with, but never Utopian. More Fruitopian. But that's what I ran into during the course of my research. Tell me what you think and get a discussion going. This has been What's Up, Punks. Remember, if you gotta fight, then fight. You gotta burn it all down and let that mutta burn. But do it with some style, theatrics, joie de vivre, dare I say, panache. But keep on being a no-good, dirty punk.
You know it, you love it, here's the spiel, let's do it. Hit subscribe to be my subscriber. Hit the bell so you know when I've actually posted stuff. Still no idea why those two things are separate now, but whatever. And of course, hit like to appease the algorithm gods. All fear and praise. On a list of whatever YouTubes, I am also probably not going to get any ad revenue for these videos, so if you would be so kind, check out that Patreon and the GoFundMe. Links in the description.